Could you imagine looking at a magnificent rainbow and complaining that one of the colors wasn't perfect? Well, not only would that be ridiculous, but would also be ruining the splendor of the moment. And yet, this is exactly what we do when we judge ourselves for our imperfections. Now, for a long time, I too was chasing perfection. But is it really the pursuit for happiness? In my experience, the quest for perfection is exhausting and unrelenting. Why, when we know that there's no such thing as perfect, do most of us spend an incredible amount of time and energy trying to be everything to everyone? Is it that we really admire perfection? Or are we trapped in this game of perfection? Well, today, in this episode of Living Extraordinary podcast, I'm going to talk about perfectionism. Hi, I'm Shirish Gupta, and I empower people to hack their success, rise above the challenges, and confidently create an extraordinary life they deserve. Well, hey everyone, this is Shirish, and I want to talk about something very important today. Just a few days back, while in a seminar, many people told me that they are perfectionists, and because of this, they hold themselves to impossibly high standards. They think what they do is never good enough, and they are not very happy in life. Now, despite having benefits such as the need for excellence, achievement, and advancement, chasing perfectionism pushes individual beings towards devastating pressure. Yes. And if you look at it closely, perfectionism is undercover stress, which wants a person to be perfect in all his activities, tasks, and goals. As it is clear from human nature, we are not perfect beings. Hence, we make mistakes and have flaws. Well, some people mistakenly believe that perfectionism is a healthy motivator, but that's not the case. Perfectionism can make you feel unhappy with your life. It can lead to depression, anxiety, eating disorder, and self-harm. Eventually, it also leads you to stop trying to succeed. Even mild cases can interfere with your quality of life, affecting your personal relationships, education, or work. And of course, perfectionism can affect young people as well as adults. Think about it. Children and teenagers are often driven to be overachievers in their academics as well as activities such as sports, club, community service, and jobs. They are expected to perform at the highest level and be perfect. Now, this can lead to an obsession with success. Ultimately, it can interfere with the ability to achieve your goals and live a happy life. And if you pause for a moment and think deeply, perfectionism destroys the inner peace of an individual. Whenever we see something superior to us or better than us, we start judging ourselves as a loser. Perfectionism can be a problem behind utmost common issues such as depression and anxiety. Take social media, for example. Looking at someone else's gorgeous pictures, we tend to compare ourselves with them. We see their perfect face cut or perfect skin or their perfect dress or even their perfect life. The list is actually never ending. Initially, when I was trapped under the facade of perfectionism, I didn't know about it. I thought of it as my natural behavior and took me a lot of time to get that awareness and accept the fact that I am a perfectionist. In case you're unsure whether you experience perfectionism or not, here are a few common things of people with perfectionism mindset. And you may be experiencing perfectionism if you are most likely are not satisfied with your own work and you believe you can do better. Or maybe you feel like you fail at everything you try. Even if you're doing well, you procrastinate regularly, let's say. You might resist starting a task because you're afraid that you'll be unable to complete it perfectly. Next, you struggle to relax and share your thoughts and feelings. You become very controlling in your personal and professional relationships. And you crave for approvals. And feedbacks, they make you defensive. And you are more critical than compassionate toward others. These were the common symptoms of people having a perfectionist mindset. So I really want to see if you do some of these things. And if you are the one who believes you are a perfectionist, you already know it, like I was, there is nothing wrong. Yeah, absolutely. There's nothing wrong with you. It's not your character's fault. It's not your fault that you procrastinate or crave approvals. I understand how you feel when you're not able to relax and have that constant nagging in your mind that you're not good enough. What will people say? I can't do this. I understand. There is nothing wrong with you. It's just you need a bit of awareness and understanding on how to balance it so you can enjoy your everyday life, those moments of living life, and not just striving to be perfect. Live the moment, don't be perfect. But why do we really chase perfectionism? Understanding this why is so very important because it speaks to our subconscious mind. And I did the same thing. I understood, why am I chasing perfectionism? Now, we get sucked into perfectionism for one very simple reason. We are terrified to make a mistake and require excellence in every task. This is because of the feeling that others are judging me, that we are incompetent, flawed, imperfect, and somehow not enough. Deep down, it boils down to the fear that we are not good enough, and the feeling of blame, judgment, and the big one, shame. Perfectionism is the belief that if we live perfectly, look perfect, and act perfect, we can minimize and avoid the pain of blame, judgment, and shame. In my opinion, perfectionism is not the same thing as striving to be our best. Perfectionism is not about healthy achievement and growth. It's a shield. Perfectionism is a 50-ton full-length shield that we hung around thinking it will protect us, when in fact, it is the very thing that's preventing us from being seen and taking that flight. It's preventing us from being me. Yes. Now, living in a society that floods us with unattainable expectations around every topic imaginable, from how much we should weigh to how we should look perfect on social media as an influencer, putting down the perfectionism shield is scary. Finding the courage, compassion, and connection to move from what will people think to I am enough is not easy. But however afraid we are of change, the question that we must ultimately answer is this: what's the greater risk? Letting go of what people think, or letting go of how I feel, what I believe, and who I am? What's more important, my own feelings and happiness, or other people's judgments? If you are a smart one, I'm sure you must have guessed the correct answer. But the bigger question is, how can we overcome perfectionism? Now, I can surely talk about 5 or 10 different ways to overcome this, but I think there is one thing that you must do to get out of this false trap of perfectionism. This is something that helped me to get rid of my perfectionism mindset. I know society wants you to be perfect, have perfect grades, perfect dance. Your videos will be a big hit when you show yourself as a perfect influencer or celebrity. But the truth is that we are actually drawn to people who are real and down to earth. We love authenticity, and we know that life is messy and imperfect, and that is okay. Think about spending time with a perfect person. He eats on time, says perfect words, knows when to talk, when to listen, everything is perfect. Would you like to hang around with this person all the time? Or do you want more real person, more authentic person? Would you like this perfect rendition of someone who is impromptu, imperfect, and authentic? Well, I'm 100% sure we all would choose a real, authentic person. Well, then why do you look for perfect self? Now, to break this loop, I want you to stop being your own worst critic and be kind to yourself. Big one. People with perfectionism are unnecessarily hard on themselves. They always criticize their own performance while thinking that other people are judging them harshly as well. It's important to realize that it's okay to make mistakes. It's okay to be good enough and not perfect. You don't have to beat yourself up when things fall short of your own self-created, elevated standards. And don't fear others' judgment. In most cases, we criticize ourselves even when it is our first attempt. Well, understand you will improve with practice. Give yourself time. Don't think you can complete a 10-hour work in 2 hours. This is so very common with people. They overestimate their potential in a short time and underestimate their potential in the long term. Think about it. Yeah. Be realistic and not a perfectionist. Be kind to yourself. And it's okay if you were not able to meet deadlines when you were focused on your work. Well, I'm not suggesting to miss deadlines simply because you were distracted. When you know you're putting the hard work and are completely involved in your task, then most likely is the underestimation of the time required to complete the task. And one more thing, Don't delay your deadlines just so that you think it's not good enough. Submit that project, that presentation, create that content that is due in 2 days and give your best shot. Don't procrastinate for trying to be perfect. At times, we don't need to. All we need to do is to do the work. The drive to be perfect obviously sometimes results in positive outcomes. Taken to extremes, however, it can leave you perpetually feeling like a failure. The key is learning when to let go, when to try harder, and ultimately that sometimes doing your best really is perfectly good enough. It's okay to be who you are. It's okay to put your chips down once in a while. It's okay to express your true self, and it's okay not to be perfect. It's okay to go to a party without makeup. It's okay to wear comfortable clothes for dinner. Don't fear others' judgment and believe that you're good enough with all your perfections, with all your imperfections. And it's okay to make mistakes. And it's okay not to be perfect.